Good evening everybody, I'm Fictional Crystals, and yes, Shiro is a clone. Straight after Voltron Legendary Defender Season 3 came out, the Voltron fandom exploded with activity for several reasons. One was because of Shiro's return. The fandom practically all agreed that he is a clone at once. All evidence pointed in that direction. Well, until Season 4. Shiro can pilot the Black Line again, something many of us thought a copy couldn't do. So what is he really, a clone or not? Evidence in favor of him being a clone piles up in Season 3. Let's start there. Shiro woke up in Galra captivity. That's the second time he's been there. Shiro struggled immensely the first time the Galra had him. He was strapped down, barely conscious, sentries were everywhere. He wouldn't have even escaped without Ulaz's help. The second time he was there, almost no one else was. He wasn't strapped down either, the door was wide open and he needed no help. A Galra saw him leave with one of their ships, yet didn't send anyone after him. Instead, he stayed there and smiled. The Galra said stage 3 of an operation was underway. This is exactly what the Galra wanted to happen. They wanted him to escape. The Galra called what was going on Operation Kuron, which actually means clone if you translate it from Japanese. Shiro is also Japanese. Another Shiro was seen in captivity too. Shiro's hair was surprisingly long when we saw him. We aren't certain of how long he was gone for after his disappearance in Season 2, but I can't imagine it being much longer than about a month. Certainly not long enough for his hair to grow like that at least. His new design isn't right. Jesus Christ. Petty appearance issues aside, his looks are still a red flag. Shiro didn't disappear wearing his everyday clothes. The old ones are still in the castle. So why change his style drastically if they didn't want to differentiate him from the real Shiro? Back to Season 2, the Black Line has teleportation powers, and teleported Shiro away shortly after Voltron's battle with Zarkon. A surge of energy went through Shiro. Lines have a connection with their paladins. They are there for them more times than not. The Black Line wouldn't teleport Shiro somewhere he wasn't safe. He was hurt. This energy could have been fatal. The line was trying to save him, not get him stuck somewhere more not safe. Keith brought up the point that maybe Zarkon's still existing connection with Black allowed him to tell the line what to do with Shiro. The problem with this is Zarkon was focused on defeating Voltron and staying alive. Shiro's bond with Black overtook Zarkon's. He was able to snatch the Black Beard right from him, and Black chose him in the astral plane. Future plot points of the show have been foreshadowed by simple remarks before. The big case of this being in Season 1's final.
You fight like a Galra soldier.
Keith, who is a Black Paladin, is part Galra. Zarkon, a former Black Paladin, is also Galra. Shiro isn't an exception to this Galra rule.
Why strike at all when you can join him? Both part of the Galra Empire.
His arm is property of the Galra. It was created by Hagar and the Druids. His arm glows. Originally, it was from the elbow down, except after Season 3, it's just his hand. His hand's glow is purple and black. It caused him pain when it was first activated, just like what happened with Zarkon when the dark creatures went through him. They're the same colors too, along with Hagar and the Druids' magic, and the thing under the sea serpent in the depths. Shiro's hand has dark creatures / quintessence in it. He's paralleled Zarkon directly, with Keith being Alpha. This Shiro will go dark. He's had a change in personality. The paladins from Season 1 are meant to mirror the paladins of old. Clone Shiro is taking after Zarkon. The Galra know he's a clone, but he doesn't, and they will use him against Team Voltron. These aliens were right not to trust him. He's already started splitting everyone up. He was the Galra's champion, winning against opponents thought unbeatable. He was strong and a perfect model for an army. The Galra needed more of him. He was their greatest weapon.
You could have been our greatest weapon.
Although he escaped, they still got use out of him. They cloned him, likely by using his real arm. But it might have been done another way. As we saw in flashbacks, a purple liquid engulfed Shiro. It's likely quintessence. The same kind of thing is used for Robies. When his eyes were being tested, they made the same noise a camera makes when it focuses.
Has normal response to optic stimuli.
Hagar is the one who creates Robies. Robies have the souls of real creatures in a robot shell. She could have used the same technique to create clone Shiros.
I see you spent some time with the druids. They do love to experiment.
Shiro's identification code has changed. What was the point of having different codes? Unless they're not the same person.
Fugitive prisoner 117-9875 detected.
Subject Y0XT39.
Earlier I mentioned foreshadowing in statements. Pidge gave us an idea of how Clone Shiro has the real Shiro's memories in Season 2.
Galra could have implanted fake memories of the escape in your head.
He did have that headache. There's so much evidence in favor of him being a clone. Season 4 somehow threw people off anyway. How come he could pilot Black if he wasn't the real Shiro? Remember that the Lions are able to have more than one Paladin. Black has had 2 at once fighting over it before. 3 Paladins overall. 4 if you count the clone. Red and Blue have both had 3, and the others have had 2. All that's needed in order to pilot one of them is to match up with their requirements, whether that be a Paladin's personality/traits corresponding with the Lions, like in the case of Hunk and Yellow for example, or the Paladin fitting what's required for the current situation, like in the case of Lance and Red and being Keith's right-hand man. This Shiro has the real Shiro's memories and a similar personality. Because of that, he matches up with Black. The Black Lion responded to him for the first time when the memories of the real Shiro flashed through his mind. It didn't respond the second because he didn't feel like the real Shiro. He wasn't determined, he wasn't thinking the thoughts of the real Shiro. And the situation with the others wasn't dire enough for him to desperately need to be there. Especially since that time Keith was around. In season 4 when he could pilot Black, it was because he was determined. He had the drive of the real Shiro. The situation needed him and Keith wasn't around. Notice how when he did get in the Black Line and formed Voltron, the transformation sequence was incredibly short. Him returning to Black for the battle wasn't a big focus. They got it over and done with as fast as they could. It was the same when he returned to the team. There wasn't a big reunion. Clone Shiro is currently the Black Paladin, and Keith is gone, but not forever. Keith's return will connect with this Shiro being a clone. With Flotor coming to the team, it's not long before they'll figure it out. Lance appears to already have issues with this Shiro's leadership. But anyway, thanks for watching and save Shiro. That's it. Just save Shiro.
Except for you, Shiro. I'll never get rid of you. You're our most popular character.